Hey, what's shaking, everybody? Welcome back. It's the Orangebloods Texas Football Channel. I'm Geoff Ketchum, joined by the entire Orangebloods ensemble. Well, at least the MODCAST version of the Orangebloods ensemble. We've got like 75 people that make predictions on games these days. And apparently the best ones aren't us, because the Blake and the Keenans of the world apparently are handicapping games at a really good rate, and we don't have them on this video. Predictions, fellas. Texas Tech. Anwar, I'm not going to go to you first today because you went first like 19 times yesterday. Perfect. Against in the middle of the MODCAST. I will start with Alex, if for no other reason than he annoyed us with his basking in the fantasy football glow of this past week. Alex, give us a Texas Tech prediction that you feel good about.
Okay, so Texas right now -7.5 after opening. Am I reading this right? That they opened at -10.5?
I saw a couple of different numbers on Sunday. I did see a 10.5 number though, but I never saw it again. I felt like I saw it once, Alex, and then it just disappeared.
Yeah. Okay. So what we have here is we have 60% of the tickets so far via Sports Insights on Texas, but only 41% of the money. So that's a pretty good. It's a pretty good discrepancy there. It looks like 40% of the tickets are on the Tech side that are taking up about 60% of the money. They're at the -7.5, so maybe a little bit of a sharp indicator that people might not think that Texas covers the spread here. As far as the total, we have only 45% of the tickets are on the under, but 61% of the money's on the unders. Maybe a sharp indicator there. As you guys know, I do the deep dig all week until right before I publish it, before we record this on Thursdays. So this is my first time really getting a look at how this shakes out. But after hearing what Jason has said about his matchups column, after watching a little bit of this Oregon transfer quarterback to Texas Tech, after hearing what Steve Sarkisian has sort of said about the way the Tech sets you up offensively to try and beat you on defense with the RPO game, the high percentage throws underneath and all this stuff to kind of catch you reeling and take these big shots downfield on you. I think this is going to be a game where Tech scores. I think it's going to be a game where Texas scores. I think it's going to be a game that tilts Texas fans. I think it's going to be close, and I think it goes under. So I'm going to guess the over-under here is, what did I say, 61.5? What is 28 plus 31? That's 15? Yeah, 31-28 Texas.
Real quick, before we all do our predictions, Alex, you brought up an interesting, and I haven't asked this year. Do we have a point total? Is this a game where Texas is going to have to score in the 30s? Does everybody have a 30s number? Do we think it plays that high, or does anybody think it's a little lower? What's everybody's number this week?
I think 31 for me. 31-28 Texas will be my prediction.
Right. Jason, do you have a number that Texas has to break, or the winner of this game will have to score?
Alex and I are right in line. I'm thinking 30-ish, probably right around 30 for Texas. So I think we'll get it done.
Anwar, real quick before an official prediction, same ballpark?
Just a little bit lower.
A little bit lower?
Yes.
Okay.
Not by much.
All right. Well, Anwar, tell us how much lower. Give us your prediction.
I'm going 27-24 Texas, but with a lot of hesitation, a lot of reservations, not 100%. I think for me, I think they probably lose TCU and potentially OU. So this one is, I'm going to give them this win before those. I'm not going to predict 3 straight losses. So this is one of the reasons. So 27-24 for me.
All right. And Mr. Suchomel.
So we already know Anwar's predictions for the next 3 games. They're not going to be very popular on Orangebloods.
Well,
he always has the right to change his mind.
That's
right.
Change
his mind, Texas.
Not set in stone, so to speak. Alex and I are really close. I've got it 30-27 in favor of Texas. When I broke down the matchups, it's almost dead even, man. I mean, special teams could make a big change in this game. I gave Texas a special teams advantage because Tech has had a couple special teams blunders. Texas has had a couple, they've had blunders of their own too, but they had a couple big plays on special teams. I just think Texas is more talented on special teams. I think Texas Tech's going to run the ball against Texas. I don't know that Texas is going to run the ball efficiently and effectively against Texas Tech. They should. You got Bijan Robinson and Roshan and a deep stable of backs, but it's a really good Texas Tech run defense against the Texas offensive line that still has some things to prove. To me, it's going to come down to making big plays through the air. And if Texas can run the ball, I'm taking, and I think they will, I'm taking Texas 30-27. If Texas Tech runs the ball better than Texas does, and this is usually the case in most games, Texas Tech is ripe for the upset in this one. So, I said it in my matchups. I said, hey, this is not a gimme game. I get it. It's a touchdown spread or whatever. Texas is playing at home, coming off of a big win. Texas Tech hasn't really played anybody, but when you really look at the matchups, to me, they look like two pretty evenly matched up teams on paper. On paper doesn't always translate to Saturdays, but if I'm going off of what I kind of analyzed and breaking the game down, I'll go Texas 30, Texas Tech 27.
It's interesting because Anwar and I have done videos every day this week, so I cannot remember when the hell we talked about this, but there was a conversation piece about Casey Thompson's number of drives and how many drives Thompson would, because he's basically scored on 90% of every drive he's quarterbacked for Texas so far. And the question was, do we think that Casey Thompson would do better than 50% this week, which would be a huge drop off from what he's been doing, but you still win a lot of games in college football if you're scoring, 50% of the time you've got the ball. I said that I thought I was right on like 5 out of 10. So maybe it comes down to how many possessions Texas has in this game. I think this game plays a little higher scoring. And full disclosure, I always go above the score. Every week for the last decade when I do these predictions, I'm always like a full set of, like, if I'm in the 30s, it plays in the 20s. So I'm thinking a little higher, and it means you guys are probably right. But I think Casey Thompson, the Texas offense, is going to have some success. I don't know about next week in Fort Worth. I don't know what it means for Oklahoma. My real question in this game is going to be about the Texas Tech offense against this Texas defense. And I think Texas is going to give up some points, but not as many as they score. I'm somewhere along the lines of a Texas 37, Texas Tech 33. But I think it sounds like we all think Texas Tech covers a slightly big number that's been coming down. Interesting. We'll have the full staff set of predictions on Friday at orangebloods.com. You can check that out. Like I said, maybe you should be paying attention to Keenan and Blake for predictions and not us based on how well they've apparently been doing handicapping based on their Twitter rankings. I don't know. I saw it yesterday. Serenity called me old because, it just, I don't know, these kids today with their Twitter handicapping. For myself, and I really went old person there, just rambled about nothing for no reason. For myself, Alex, Anwar, and Jason, thanks for watching. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. We will see you on Saturday, where we will have wall-to-wall coverage during daylight hours, post-Texas and Texas Tech. It'll be me and Anwar Richardson. You guys have a great Friday. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Later.